partners to back the AAP and not the Congress. But what it does, by backing the Aam Aadmi Party and not the Congress, it calls into question the centrality of the Congress Party to the India alliance. Basically, what all these other parties, SP, TMC, Sena, UBT, National Conference, etc., are saying is that the Congress is not central. It's not the glue that's holding the alliance together. It's not the fulcrum of this India alliance. The Congress, on the other hand, says, and defensively so, that the India alliance was meant only for the general election, for the Lok Sabha election. It was not meant for state-specific elections. Even in the general election, there was no India alliance really. There was no seat-sharing arrangement in Bengal or in Punjab. It was there in Delhi. It was there in some other states. But it was meant to be a general election idea and not a state election idea. But that is really masking a cold reality, a cold political reality, which is at the core of the idea of the India alliance, which is that they came together with just one purpose, which was to oppose Modi, which was to defeat Modi. And like I said, in the general election, they can claim that, okay, Mr. Modi has been humbled. But there was no ideological cohesion. There was no other glue that brought them together other than to defeat the BJP. So when state elections come around, as the Delhi election is now coming around, has this idea of the India alliance unraveled? Because each political partner in that India alliance is going its own way. So the question we're asking is it time to disband the India alliance? Has the idea of the India alliance fizzled out?
एक बात है कि जो केजरीवाल साहब ने काम जो किया है दिल्ली के लिए और जो अच्छा काम किया है, जो दिल्ली का चेहरा बदला है, उसे तो कोई ना नहीं कह सकता। काम है तो उसे स्वीकार।
इससे पहले 2 बार लगातार आम आदमी पार्टी की वहां पे कामयाबी रही। इस बार दिल्ली के लोग क्या फैसला करेंगे, उसके लिए हमें इंतजार करना होगा।
दिल्ली चुनाव में तो पहले से तय था इंडिया अलायंस जो है वो लोकसभा की।
तो ये माननीय अमित शाह जी ने एक बार कहा था, आप सब लोगों को याद होगा, ये फोटो अब है, ये फोटो शूट है और कुछ नहीं है।
All right, let's open this up to our political guests who are joining us. Shehzad Poonawalla here in the studios, national spokesperson of the BJP. Adil Singh Boparai, national spokesperson of the Congress Party. Pradeep Bhati is spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Smita Prakash, editor of ANI, is also joining us. Adil, let me start with you because the centrality is around the question of whether the Congress is any longer the fulcrum of the India alliance. So you've had Samajwadi Party, TMC, Sena, UBT, and today National Conference and Omar Abdullah coming out and saying that we're all backing Mr. Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party over the Congress in the fight for Delhi. They're basically saying that the Congress is not central to the idea of the India alliance.
Well, Zaka, I was listening very intently to your presentation, and I can't help but make an observation that ordinarily the discourse is that the government of the day is held accountable. Their acts of commission and omission are usually under scrutiny. But ironically, over the past several years, I noticed that it is this opposition which always has the spotlight of the media. But be that as it may, coming to your question, let's be very clear, it is the Congress Party which is the preeminent party in the India bloc. Having said this, our senior leadership has very emphatically said that the India alliance was for the purposes of the general elections. However, when it comes to state elections, our state units and the prerogative of the regional parties as to whether they want to contest elections together or whether they want to contest elections separately. So therefore, as far as the deductions are concerned, as far as the haste with certain commentators want to write off the India alliance, I would humbly urge them to hold their horses.
No,
as
Adil,
far as Delhi
just a quick,
yes,
just a
we are
quick
fighting
clarification.
separately.
Adil, so you're saying you're entitled to your belief that the Congress is central to the idea of the India alliance. Why then do you believe parties like SP, TMC, RJD, all these other parties are saying they're backing the AAP? Why?
Well, that's their prerogative. Like I said, in a democratic formation, in an alliance where each political party has the autonomy to decide as to whom they want to support in a particular state election. But to respond to your question, to say that the India alliance lacks an ideological glue, or that they lack an agenda, or they lack a vision, I think is grossly incorrect. We came together for a certain set of ideas. We do stand by those set of ideas, but I reiterate, for the sake of clarity, that when it comes to state elections,
Okay.
we are contesting
So
elections
those ideas are
separately,
perhaps
more
less
specifically
less
state elections.
relevant in a state election as opposed to a general election. So Shehzad Poonawalla, the India Alliance had come together because there was a peculiar set of circumstances. There was a national election at stake. They came together to unseat Mr. Modi. They could claim with some degree of correctness that they kind of cut you down to size. And then state specific, it's up to the state units to decide.
So taking from what you have said, Zaka, if I were to sum it up, these people had come together, but they never had mission or vision. They had apna ambition, all of their corruption, commission, and Modi ke prati obsession that Modi ko rokna hai. No other ideological persuasion was there to hold them together. If there was, please tell me what is the stand of Congress party on Article 370 or on Savarkar, and Uddhav Sena on Article 370 and Savarkar. So there was never any ideological common point or meeting point. Secondly, Mr. Amit Shah ji and Modi ji had said with a lot of foresight कि फोटो शूट के लिए एक साथ से हाथ मिला लेंगे पर दिल से दिल कभी नहीं मिला. Let me tell you how an alliance works. From June 2024 to December 2024, you know how many meetings NDA has had? 25th December, 5th November, 28th October, 18th October, 17th August, 2nd July, 18th June, 8th July. How many meetings has India Alliance, which claims that it has done great job in stopping us? How many they have had? One meeting in June.
No,
Otherwise,
but
no meetings.
He's saying that after the general election, there was no reason for having India Alliance meetings.
Let me bust that also. First of all, it is none of my business what they do in their alliance. I am more bothered about people of Delhi and what is happening for them. But because the topic is this, I am sticking to this. I am not going on to Delhi. Please tell me, in the parliamentary session, at that time also, was there any cohesion? Rahul Gandhi and company were standing on one issue, and at the same time Samajwadi Party said that is not the issue, Sambal is the real issue. TMC said change this leader of opposition, he is not reflecting the views. The RJD said we back TMC. Then Sharad Pawar ji and Omar Abdullah both on the issue of EVM, not at the persuasion of BJP. Outrightly they came and said you can't question EVM in one place and accept EVM verdict in another place. Now I'm saying these are all central issues. On these central issues and in Parliament, Congress was isolated. In 10 seconds I'll analyze why. And now I'll put on my cap of not as BJP spokesperson, political analyst. I'll tell you what happened. Congress was the original vote bank party. They had a vote bank called M. M meaning my vote bank. Now whatever M you want to think. Then this M vote bank went to Samajwadi Party rose. It went to AAP party rose. It went to RJD party rose. Now when these parties saw that Congress has got 99, they said कि ये vote bank M वापस से भाग जाएगा. Before that we have to close the gates. And therefore they are now saying Congress, you are on your own. We are preserving our vote bank. So from Samvidhan Bachao, it has come down to vote bank Bachao.
But Smita Prakash, I think the previous point that Shehzad made is a valid one. Now, whether you're an electoral alliance, non-ideological alliance, whatever it is, fact is that if you are going to take on the BJP, you're going to take on Mr. Modi. Just in the recently concluded parliament session, you had Rahul Gandhi and the Congress almost obsessively taking up the Adani issue. The Samajwadi Party clearly broke ranks on that issue. The TMC wanted to have nothing to do with that issue. They had their own issues to raise. So, what is then the meeting point? So basically this alliance is going to come together every 5 years. Adil just said, look, this was not meant for state elections. So whether it is Delhi or Bihar 6 months from now or whatever other states are going to polls in the next few years, this is not, India Alliance is not an experiment for that. We'll come back again in 2029.
So, Zaka, I think a couple of points. One, when Shehzad says that this alliance dil nahi mil raha hai, dil milne ki zarurat bhi nahi hai. It can be just a pragmatic thing on issues they are together, or on fighting the elections. But the point is they're not even on that. They're together, which he pointed out, whether it was the EVM issue and which you pointed out on the Adani issue, they're not together on that either. So they'll forget. Even Dimag se bhi, they are not together. When Adil says that, you are free to contest the election separately, that's how it came about. Fine. It's not necessary that any coalition should function like the other coalitions. Okay, if you're not working together, understandable, but it seems like some parties are working together. it seemed today like when Mamta and Samajwadi Party, they say that they are with Akhilesh without even having a consultative committee meeting with the alliance, they have gone ahead and unilaterally, each of them has gone and said that we will support Kejriwal. Not just that, it seemed with the soundbite that you ran that Aditya Thackeray will be coming and campaigning or supporting, the UBT is also going to be supporting. So, the India bloc is functioning in some ways against the Congress within the India bloc itself.
So can I ask you, what is your understanding? Are these parties individually coming to the conclusion to support Kejriwal, or are they acting in concert? Minus the Congress.
It seemed like the backroom work is being done by Mr. Kejriwal. He seems to have spoken with the leadership of these parties, and if they cannot function together as an India bloc, why are they not able to function? It seems like there's only one party, which is the Congress, which will not obviously back Kejriwal. Why are they not able to function? It seems like there's only one party, which is the Congress, which will not obviously back Kejriwal. So he's gone to all the other units in the India bloc and he has got individual support from them. So the India bloc is not functioning together as far as the leadership or support to the Congress is concerned. Nobody from the India bloc has come out in support of the Congress party, not Mr. Dikshit, nobody. They're not campaigning. Forget about the India bloc. The Congress leadership is not campaigning for the Congress. Where are you seeing it? Only today there was an announcement that Mr. Rahul Gandhi will be campaigning on the 13th. Supposedly they're very busy because there's a period of mourning. So keeping that in mind, they have not been actively campaigning. But you have to face it. There's an election, and in election, you just put all hands on the deck.
Let me ask Mr. Bhati, I think Omar Abdullah sort of hit the nail on the head. He came out today and he said, there's no clarity whether it is about leadership, whether it is about agenda, or whether it is about existence. He said, and I quote, wind up the alliance in case it was meant for just Lok Sabha 2024. This is one of the alliance partners of the India bloc. And I think he's hit the nail on the head. If there is no clarity about who is the leader of this alliance, what is the agenda of this alliance, and what is the future of the existence of this alliance, then wind it up. Why are you keeping it on? Let's come back again in 2029 and say, okay, let's try to defeat Modi again in 2029. This is Omar Abdullah's words, not my words.
Thank you, Jaka, and good evening to all. Just few quick points regarding the purpose of coming all of us together was not Mr. Modi. Mr. Modi is not larger than India, and it's not that big image that we will be fighting against his name. It's about the corruption of Modi government, it's about the anti-farmer issues, anti-farmers policies, about the anti-youth policies, unemployment, and these are the main issues that we fought elections. What was the glue between, you are talking about glue, what was the glue between PDP and BJP? See, it is not new that the parties are having national alliance and fighting each other at state level. I can give you numerous examples of NDA alliance fighting each other at state level while having a national alliance at the national level. Like JDU, I'll give you example of Uttar Pradesh itself. JDU, LJP, Shiv Sena, everybody fights against BJP in the Uttar Pradesh itself. And these, at the same time, every party has its own ambitions and aspirations to expand their ideology and vote bank in the other states. So nothing wrong in it. In fact, I call it politically socialism. I believe that shifting of political dynamism can help until it is in the favor of the common people of this country and the poor people of this country. And
no one has a problem, so Mr. Bhati, no one has a problem with any political party, your party or any other party, wanting to expand beyond your traditional turf. Nobody has a problem with that. The issue is this: how come that does not apply in a general election?
So why don't you ask this question to BJP? I'll give you example of UP. I'll give you another example. I'll give you example of Manipur 2022. There were major 5-6 parties fighting. 4 were in the NDA itself, fighting with each other. You didn't ask the same question from BJP?
Okay, I'll ask Shehzad Poonawala. Shehzad Poonawala, you also have state level adjustments. I think you meant Meghalaya, not Manipur.
Just one example. Just one example. One quick example. I'll give you example of Meghalaya.
Yeah, I think what you meant was Meghalaya.
I have already noted.
And won 6 seats. six MLA seats, and BJP grabs all
Now
the
let me-
Okay,
MLAs.
let Shehzad
What has
respond.
happened to that? The weak,
Let Shehzad
the
respond.
weak
Let
alliance
Shehzad respond.
partner, the
Okay,
vulnerable alliance
I heard you,
partner
Mr. Bhatti.
has
Let him
nothing
respond.
to say and nothing to do.
Please respond.
So this kind of
Okay,
alliance
we
is
heard you. We heard you. Yeah,
independently-
Shehzad.
Look, first of all, Smita ji, अगर दिल नहीं मिलते हैं, so in my generation and the generation after me, they call it friendship with benefits. They don't call it relationship and they don't call it commitment. 7 जन्मों का रिश्ता तो बोलते ही नहीं है.
आजकल जेनजी वाले बोलते हैं situationship.
Situationship. अनूप जैन का गाना बजने लगेगा. So this is a situationship. मतलब situation ठीक है तो we are together. Otherwise we will take a break and again we will come together. Secondly, look, it is one thing to fight against each other in a state election. Agreed, no problem. But who calls each other Deshdrohi? Now, Ajay Makan has called Mr. Kejriwal Deshdrohi. If indeed he is a Deshdrohi, Mr. Boparai, then how are you with a Deshdrohi in an alliance for nation to save the constitution? You call them Khalistani supporters in Punjab. You are with them. Communists call the Congress party supporters of Jamaat-e-Islami. You know this, Pinarayi Vijayan has said this. They are supporting Jamaat-e-Islami and taking support of Jamaat-e-Islami, yet you all are together saving secularism. And समाजवादी पार्टी का सिचुएशनशिप देखिए, अभी यहाँ से कुछ देर दूर जाएंगे तो मिल्कीपुर में they are taking Congress support, and then they reach Delhi border and they say कांग्रेस का समर्थन नहीं चाहिए, विसर्जन करना है. And then Ram Gopal Yadav says, राहुल गांधी हमारे लीडर कहाँ से? He is your LOP. You all have made him LOP. Ram Gopal Yadav says LOP नहीं है. IP Singh says ये दिल बचपन का है, उम्र 55 की है. Who insults their ally partners even if they are fighting against each other? So this is the situationship they are in.
Bhatti Saab, and then after that Adil.
He was talking about, a dear friend was talking about the allegations being made between the India alliance. Let me remind him about the allegations made between their UP alliance. What Nishad party chief is saying, they are Vibhishan. Their deputy CM is Vibhishan. What their own MLA is calling UP government, Yogi government, most corrupt, anti-Hindu.
No, but Bhatti Saab, one second. One point which Shehzad made, which I want you to clarify, please. Milkipur wala jo bipole hai, Mr. Bhatti. No, Mr. Bhatti. The same day that Delhi is voting, there is a bipole in Uttar Pradesh for Milkipur, okay?
Right.
Where you have taken Congress party support. But on the same day when Delhi is voting, you have said you are not supporting Congress party, you are supporting Aam Aadmi party. Milkipur mein bhi aapka support le le.
See, we appreciate and acknowledge Congress support. We have also given Congress support in the past, even we were not in alliance also. So this is not new. This is happening from decades between all the alliance partners, and in fact it's happening in BJP also. But what question I was raising, that alliance partner, when then the alliance partner themselves says that encounters are fake, and in Uttar Pradesh, what Mr. BJP spokesperson has to say. When alliance partners say there is division in the government, then what
See, Zaka, if you would have heard the
BJP
debates
spokesperson
prior
has
to
to say,
this,
when their own MLA says,
Mr.
you are
Bhatti,
the
you have
most
to keep your
corrupt,
comments
you
clear.
are,
Yeah.
you are
It's not a speech.
slaughtering cows every
Okay,
50,000
we heard you.
every day.
Quickly,
What
and
do you
then
have to
You know,
do?
the
Adil
main
after
two
that.
points they used to say is that, dekhiye, this is a Baisakhi wali sarkar. You have heard the statements of Chandrababu Naidu ji just yesterday, and before that of Nitish Kumar ji. In fact, I am only saying this, that, you know, I have some sympathy with Samajwadi Party. Rahul Gandhi and Congress think that they are entitled to lead everything. Today, there's a no confidence motion against Rahul's leadership. Where is Rahul when he went away for Vietnam vacation when Manmohan Singh ji's mourning period was on? Rahul Gandhi and Congress thinks that by default, by our own legacy, we should be leading everything, which is not the case. They have not consulted Samajwadi Party at the time when they have taken out protest in parliament. Tell me one occasion if Mr. Boparai called Samajwadi Party and said, we are going to protest on this issue, come with us. They feel they are entitled. So this is a no confidence motion. Pehle Janta ne kiya, then allies kar rahe, now Prithviraj Chavan. He is also passing no confidence motion.
Adil, so you are essentially not in an alliance, you are in a situationship, sometimes with Samajwadi Party, sometimes with Aam Aadmi Party, sometimes with TMC. It's not an alliance.
Well, Zaka, fortunately, we don't need to prove anything to Mr. Poonawala. Our leadership and Mr. Akhilesh Yadav, Ms. Banerjee, and all other leaders of the India Alliance have excellent synergy. Mr. Poonawala can leave that to us. We can take care of our alliance. We don't need his unsolicited advice. Now, coming to the real issue of this debate, please understand every state has its peculiar characteristics. The BJP and the alliance have multiple contradictions. It has become fashionable today for the media and commentators to look at the India alliance with a microscope, but completely turn a blind eye when it comes to the BJP and their alliance partners. Less said the better how BJP treated the Akali Dal or the Chautalas, and what Mr. Nitish Kumar had to say about Mr. Modi and his governance model. But be that as it may, I'm not going down that line. As far as your specific debate topic is concerned, the India alliance was an alliance which came together on a set of very valid ideas for the general elections. On the floor of the parliament, we have synergy, we have excellent parleys with leadership of the other parties. But when it comes to state elections, each unit, each political party has the prerogative to decide how they want to proceed.
Here's a timeline since the general elections of how the India alliance has sort of, not spoken in cohesion or not acted in cohesion when it comes to various, whether it is small level elections or whether it is, statements, strategy in parliament, etc. In October, the Samajwadi Party decides to go solo in the bypolls that happened in Uttar Pradesh. I think there were 9 out of these 10 seats went to bypolls in October. In November, the TMC hits out at the Congress over the poll debacles that happened in Haryana and then subsequently in Maharashtra. In the end of November, after the Maharashtra results are out, the Sena UBT says the Congress is responsible for the Maharashtra loss. December 2nd, when Parliament was in session, Shehzad mentioned this, both TMC and Samajwadi Party skip what was called an India bloc meeting on the Adani issue, clearly breaking rank, saying that they don't believe that that's an issue that is important to them. December 2nd, Mr. Kejriwal from a public forum says there's not going to be any alliance between Aam Aadmi Party and Congress as far as the Delhi polls are concerned. The very next day, TMC, Samajwadi Party all boycott the Adani protest that the Congress had taken out at the Makar Dwar. And they continued till the end of the session. Not a single day where TMC or SP representatives came and stood with the Congress. Now, the point is, and now finally you have SP, TMC, RJD, NC all coming out and saying, we are supporting AAP, we are not supporting Congress. So it's not a one-time flash in the pan, Adil. This is a, this is a deterioration in ties over a period of time. This is a spiral.
May I add 2 small facts? Very small facts.
Zaka, there are naysayers. Can I?
Yeah.
Shahzad has got disproportionately more time than me. There are naysayers who will continue to quibble. But please let me and Mr. Bhati decide what is important for our alliance. And let Mr. Bhati respond whether Adani continues to remain an issue as far as the India alliance is concerned or not. Zaka.
You want him to respond? That's a good question. I think he should respond.
And one question to add to it. If Mr. Bhati can respond to both.
Okay.
Just one question from my side also, as a viewer and as a voter of this country. Mr. Bhati.
Ironically, everybody wants to speak for the alliance and not let the alliance.
No, you asked the question,
It's an alliance in the public domain.
You asked the question to your own alliance partner.
On TV, on Zaka's show, you are asking.
This program.
Exactly. So why can't we ask? Now, just one question. Mr. Bhati, because you are the second largest party in the alliance, TMC says Rahul ko leader badlo. Do you agree? And Aam Aadmi Party has said, throw out Congress from the alliance. Shama Mohammed has come on ANI and on CNN and said, throw out Aam Aadmi Party. Please clarify your stand.
Okay, Bhati Saab, please, jawab de dijiye.
Okay, we'll not decide in the TV debate that who will be the leader of our alliance partner. We'll decide when the meeting will held. And it's good to see that BJP spokesperson is talking about NDA meetings. Last 1 decade, 10 years, there was no NDA. And the NDA meeting now started happening. So let the alliance partner should thank us that at what level
that
we have
your meeting.
BJP to. Second point about the issues. That's very good to have so many issues we want to discuss in the parliament. Sambal is definitely biggest issue for us. Adani and other issues, unemployment, inflation, and the farmers is still on street. One of the leader is sitting on the hunger strike, and this arrogant government is not even bothered to talk to them. So these are the issues, and it is good that we discuss all these issues. Let the BJP spokesman say that we will discuss all these issues. Why he's running out?
I want to ask.
Let all the issues be discussed in the
fair
parliament.
enough. Political parties can choose the nature and form of the alliances that they are having, which is absolutely fine. My point is, what about the people of this country? will the people of this country also buy this, unique arrangement where every once in 5 years you come together, but then after that you are looking out for your own interests? Is that something that's kosher with the voter? I mean, the voters of Delhi 6 months ago, 5 seats, I think AAP fought, and 2 seats Congress fought out of the 7 in Delhi. Now they're fighting against each other. And the voter of Delhi is expected to say, yeah, that's fine, that's okay.
The way democracy works is if it doesn't work for them in their minds, then the voter throws them out. They don't accept the alliance. It's happened in the past. UPA was an alliance which was brought about due to necessity, but they won the election because it was acceptable. The leadership was acceptable. The units which were fighting through and through, all through the years that they were in government, in spite of that, they were acceptable and they got voted to power. They ruled for 10 years. So it's the people who decide one way or the other. So when Mr. Adil says that, why is the media, why are commentators turning their focus and their attention so much towards the India alliance and not towards the ruling party alliance? Why should we turn towards the ruling party alliance? They are winning election after election. You people are not stepping up, and that's why everybody wants to know why this alliance is not stepping up when it did fairly well in the 2024 general elections. Why the downslide? It should have been on an upward trajectory. So obviously the focus is on a story which was on an upward trajectory and suddenly is on a downward trajectory.
There's a very simple explanation for it, and the simplest explanation for it is because the Congress, which was expected to do well in Haryana and in Maharashtra, did disastrously badly. That's why, had the Congress won Haryana and the Maha Vikas Aghadi won Maharashtra, all of these parties would have backed the Congress for the Delhi election.
Obviously, it's a story to tell. It's something to analyze. Why do you even bother to analyze a party which is on an upward trajectory all the time, which is the BJP? The second point which I want to make is, Zaka, which you brought up, is about Omar Abdullah saying, let's wind up the India alliance if we're not even meeting and we're not doing. It's interesting, the Abdullahs are speaking in different voices. Omar says if it's not working, wind up. But his dad, Farooq Abdullah, says as far as the alliance is concerned, it exists in everything and not limited to just contesting the elections. It's an alliance to strengthen the country and remove hatred. So now you're ending up talking like a think tank, not like a political unit or a political party. So this is where the problem occurs, where if winning election has to be a centralized focus of a political unit, whether the India alliance or whether the Congress party or whether the NC. So, if you start thinking like a think tank and saying, yeah, this is my business, don't come and tell me anything. We know better. We know how to do it. You don't know how to do it. That's why you're losing.
So Shehzad, I think Mr. Bhatia or someone in the program made this mention about Meghalaya. You were in alliance with Conrad's party. You split, fought the election separately. Then when you realized neither of you can make the government, you came back again together.
No,
so how is that any different from what the India alliance is doing?
The people told us that you have to form alliance. The mandate was such that was the only translation for that mandate. So we have respected the mandate. But I am saying something else. I differ with Smita on one point. Smita, it's not just winning that keeps the parties together in an alliance. We were losing so many elections. Still, our alliance had 4 ingredients. Neta, Atal Bihari Vajpayee was there. Today, Modi ji is there. Niti, some sort of niti of Sushasan, good governance. Niyat that together we have to work together and we have to iron out the differences. And nature kya hai alliance ka? Now look in the time of UPA 1, before UPA 1, Sonia ji was a neta. She had a niti. She had a niyat also. And that's why UPA 1 could be cobbled up. It was not victory. It was because of the neta and niyat. Today they have no niyat. They have no niti and they have no neta. Most important thing. So therefore, the reality check is being given by Bhati ji's party. From hum saath saath hai, you have gone to hum aapke hai kaun, and Congress akele hum ho jayenge aap.
No neta, no niyat, no niti.
Jacob, one line.
Okay, one line, Bhati Saab, and then final word. I will have to wrap up after that. Yeah.
He referred about NPP. NPP was most corrupt, Parivarwadi party, and then they made alliance with just 2 seats. And where there's ideology gone. Where that ideology gone? Parivarwadi party, you form a government.
Adil, no neta, no niyat, no niti. Quickly, I have to wrap up in 30 seconds, please.
Dhaka, there is a coherence as far as the India alliance is concerned on a national level. There is the issue of unemployment. There is multiple economic issues. There is the issue of misuse of agencies. There is an issue of suppressing, subjugating the backward communities.
No, Adil, let's be very pointed. He is saying the India alliance is unraveling because no one is willing to accept Mr. Rahul Gandhi as leader. The UPA worked because everybody accepted Sonia Gandhi as leader. That's the moot point he's making.
Please understand, Zaka, the India alliance at an appropriate time will decide who has to lead the alliance. As far as the Congress party is concerned, Mr. Rahul Gandhi ji is our preeminent leader. Please let us decide. We don't need advice from Mr. Poonawala. As far as the Congress is concerned, we are very clear. On the contrary, the BJP has about the issues which are grappling this country.
Okay. In any case, like you said, those issues are relevant only once in 5 years, right? Because Delhi has different issues, Bengal has different issues.
In society?
Okay, I got to wrap up. Thank you very much to all our guests.
This is the first TV-based alliance. On TV, they are together.
Okay, I got to wrap up. But let's see how this plays out and what kind of impact this has on the Delhi elections. I want to now move on to the second part of Brass Tacks. The Justin Trudeau government in Canada, which is already collapsing because Mr. Trudeau has resigned. The Liberal Party has to find a new leader. Remember, over the last 2 years, ever since he stood up in the Canadian Parliament in September of 2023 and made those wild allegations about Indian agents being involved in the murder of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, from assassination on Canadian soil to involvement of top Indian officials, Trudeau tried to paint this whole web of lies around the Nijjar killing, all of which have come crumbling today. The Canadian top court in British Columbia, the Supreme Court of British Columbia, has let off all the 4 accused in this case, citing, quote, a lack of evidence, which simply means that the prosecution, the police, did not have, or at least have not shown yet, the proof of the involvement of these 4 individuals in the plot to kill Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Now, as Trudeau packs his bags, because remember, a few days ago, he announced to the Canadian people and to the rest of the world that he's putting in the towel. He is, resigning as leader of the Liberal Party, as Prime Minister of Canada. He's now left with this whole question mark as to where all this pandering to the Khalistani elements has actually left him and his Liberal Party. And the bigger question, will his successor now be able to use this as a clean slate for a fresh start with this diplomatic mess that we've seen that Trudeau leaves behind, particularly in the relationship between New Delhi and Ottawa?
India was involved in this killing agents. This was something that we obviously had to take extremely seriously.
All right, I want to go across to Terry Miliuski, author and journalist, is joining us live from Toronto, and Sushant Sareen is Senior Fellow with the Observer Research Foundation. He'll be joining us in a moment. Mr. Miliuski, thank you very much for joining us. This is what the Supreme Court in British Columbia, which gave bail to these 4 accused in the Nijjar murder, had to say today. It highlighted concerns regarding the prosecution's inability to provide sufficient evidence. Specifically, the court said there was no highlighted concerns regarding the prosecution's inability to provide sufficient evidence. Specifically, the court said there was no substantive progress in the judicial proceedings since the arrest of these 4 individuals. They were first produced in court in early May. So for the last 6 months plus, they've been incarcerated, they've been apprehended. And the court has raised questions about whether the adequate evidence existed at all in the first place to support the charges that have been brought forth against these individuals. How concerned would you be? How worried would you be after these observations by the Supreme Court of British Columbia?
Well, it's hard to tell because, as is typical in Canadian courts, the whole case is wrapped in this cocoon of secrecy, publication bans. We're not allowed to report on the arguments made on pre-trial motions. It's very difficult. We have to read into what we are seeing and deduce what's happening. I have a theory, which I'll offer as an informed guess, if you like. That is that the case faces real problems, not with a lack of evidence, but with producing the evidence in court, making that evidence admissible and available, because it involves in large measure evidence that wasn't gathered in Canada, but was gathered in both India and in the United States by the Americans. Now, is the incoming Trump administration willing to cooperate with the Canadian court, produce witnesses and documents and evidence of their activities? As you know, they've laid 2 serious indictments against Indian nationals, one of which was, at least, an intelligence officer for the research and analysis wing of the Indian government, which reports to the Indian Prime Minister, as you know. These are very serious allegations involving an alleged murder plot by this individual and
Mr. Milewski, if I may interrupt, I'm sorry to do that though. Can you explain what is the difficulty in producing the evidence? Because the Trump administration is not in office right now. Nijjar murder happened when Biden was in office. The material, if it is available, should already be there. So I'm not sure I follow why the incoming Trump administration would be a problem in the production of this evidence of a crime that happened 2 years ago.
Well, that's a perfectly fair question. I've asked it myself. You're absolutely right. It's a problem, and it's not easy to explain when you're guessing. I'm just offering you an educated evidence.
Okay.
Motive. And the prosecution in any case of murder is going to have to show motive. Well, if they were able to produce the American evidence in a Canadian court, big if, then they might be able to show motive because he has laid out the evidence of a plot to kill 2 people that are named, one being Hardeep Singh Nijjar of Seeks for Justice, and the other being Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Now, the Indian government has already said it's taking these allegations very seriously. The individual involved has been fired. So these are serious allegations. But are they going to be available in a Canadian court? If I were a defense lawyer, I would be salivating for 4 hours. I'm making a pile of money looking at all of the arguments. Well, how is the Canadian court supposed to accept this? Can we get a witness from the FBI or the Department of Justice to come and testify to the authenticity of all of these details? Because if we don't have that evidence,
okay, that's an interesting theory, and I want to know what Sushant thinks about it. Mr. Milewski's contention, this is the hypothesis, is that it's not the lack of evidence, but the ability to produce that evidence, and whether now under a new Trump administration, and we've seen the back and forth between Mr. Trump and Mr. Trudeau over the last few weeks or so, whether the FBI under Trump will allow for the production of that evidence in a court of law, and whether FBI officials will sort of testify in a Canadian court of law to back up that evidence, because clearly the political dynamics between Canada and the United States have changed.
Yes.
But Zaka, here's the problem. For the last 2 years, as the question you yourself raised with Mr. Milewski, for the last 2 years, the Canadians were able to build whatever case they built because apparently the Americans shared some intelligence with them. Mm-hmm. Now, intelligence is number one, not evidence, right? So if it was only intelligence that was shared and it's not prosecutable evidence, then it has no meaning, first and foremost. Secondly, the thing is that given the fact that the Biden administration was willing to do this, why haven't they shared all the evidence so far? Why did they have to wait until after the the next administration comes in or the US elections take place? They could have already shared the evidence. They haven't. Maybe the Americans also don't have it. Like Mr. Milewski is guessing, even I'm guessing. Third, and most importantly, look, once you have a very sensitive case like this, okay, and a very serious case insofar as Canada is concerned, because we have plenty of grouses against Canada and the way they have dealt with these Khalistani thugs. But once there is a case like this, the proper thing they should have done is that they should have kept it quiet. They should have first gathered the evidence, which is what they normally do. You don't level these allegations, these wild allegations, without having any evidence. And for the last 2 years, what was the Indians asking the Canadians? We were constantly asking them that, okay, if you have the evidence, why don't you share it with us? The Americans did it. And as a result, that particular investigation moved forward. The Canadians never did it. They haven't shared anything with us. They keep saying and they keep telling their media, which swallows and vomits.
I think we just lost Sushant. I think I would have, partially bought that hypothesis, Mr. Miliuski. The only problem is, it's been over 6 months since these 4 chaps were apprehended. They were apprehended first in May, and there have been 5 court appearances by these 4 individuals. They were produced in court 5 times over the last 6 months. On the 7th of May, on the 15th of May, on the 21st of May, on the 1st of October. And this I find fascinating. If the evidence was indeed there, why did the Crown prosecutor, who's the lawyer representing the state, Louis Kenworthy, ask for an adjournment? Because according to him, there were ongoing disclosure issues indicating that substantive disclosure has not been made or completed. Basically saying that we don't have the evidence right now or the documentation right now. Disclosure basically means that the prosecution has to make available whatever material they have to the defense lawyers. He asked for an adjournment in October saying, we've not been able to collect the material so that we can share the material, disclose that material to the defense lawyers. And then the last hearing that happened in November, where the case was subsequently then moved to the Supreme Court of British Columbia, the Crown asked for a stay of proceedings in the provincial court. It indicated a shift in why the prosecution intended to intended to move the case from a provincial court to a Supreme Court. Now, the point is simply this. If the evidence was there, A, why was it not disclosed? If the evidence was there, why was the prosecution asking for adjournments? I think Sushant is right. The evidence was never there.
We don't know for sure exactly what evidence is available and what is not because of the complexities that are involved here. First of all, what about classification? The evidence that was produced between government, not for public consumption, between the State administration and the Trudeau administration at the time, was classified evidence. That is to say, we're not allowed to talk about it in public. But we can tell you that we've got wiretaps that confirms Canadian suspicions of the Canadian police. There was some sort of a link with an Indian official between that official and the shooters in the Nijjar case. But to go to trial with that, well, you've got to overcome that classification. If the U.S. government is not going to agree to disclosure in court, then that's got to, and if it is going to agree to it, it's still all got to be up for grabs for the defense to probe.
No, but Mr. Miliuski, the same applied in the case that happened in the U.S. Allegedly, the man who was hired as a hitman for this alleged assassination plot on Pannu happened to be a state agent in the U.S. So if they could open that evidence in a court of law, in a Manhattan court, the same should apply in Canada.
No. The problem is that this very different law in Canada and the U.S. In Canada, don't get me started, but the rules are very different on producing it. You're not allowed to produce it before the trial. You're not allowed to make it public and basically blacken somebody's name before they have a chance to answer it in court. And it's much more cautious.
Okay.
Lawyers in Canada get rich arguing this stuff forever and ever about admissibility and availability of evidence.
Okay.
That alone accounts for enormous amount of delay.
I'll give Sushant the final word because, Sushant, just to play devil's advocate, these guys are out on bail. No one's given them a clean sheet. They've not been acquitted by a court of law. This evidence that Mr. Terry talks about can still be produced during trial. They are yet to start the trial.
So here's the problem. If the evidence, whenever the evidence is produced, we'll see what evidence they have against these guys. But the point is that if Canadian law does not allow for the sullying of somebody's image or destroying somebody's life by plastering their faces all over the place and accusing them of a crime for which you have no evidence, you haven't even filed a charge sheet so far. In that case, what happens to these 4 guys? Right? What have you done with their lives, first and foremost? Secondly, if you didn't have the evidence...
That's why they got bailed. That's why they got bailed.
Was Nijjar such an important guy for you that you shot your entire relationship with India? You have brought it's at even a worse level than what it was in the 80s. You brought it to that level simply for what? Without any evidence, simply for your own political reasons, and even that has not worked because Trudeau has finally, had to quit, and his party is in all kinds of trouble. Probably going to be wiped out in the next election, and maybe that is a good thing for Canada, really. But you shot this entire relationship for what? Without any evidence. This is like I going or I as the Prime Minister of India talking about Trudeau and his involvement with criminal gangs and making all kinds of scurrilous allegations without a shred of evidence.
I think that's a fantastic point that Sushant made.
That's how countries behave.
Even if they have the evidence, we'll wait to see what the evidence is, if at all it is produced in trial. If the purpose of Mr. Trudeau in going public with these allegations was politics, let's be very clear about it. He was trying to make a political point, or he thought that politically this would help him. Look where he's ended up. So that's the whole, it became a zero-sum game. It cost him his job. I don't think this cost him his job, but ultimately he's no longer going to be the Prime Minister of Canada. He's probably, going to be in political oblivion now, or political retirement, as it were. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to Mr. Milewski. Thank you very much, Sushant. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, in the United States, as many as 5 people have been killed and over 1,000 structures, homes, shops, famous people's residences have all been gutted in massive wildfires that have been raging across California, in particular in Los Angeles. These fast-moving flames are burning through homes and businesses. Thousands of residents have fled the area. There's been a mega evacuation operation that's underway. Even as all of these concerns are mounting, a political blame game is raging on between Donald Trump, the president-elect, and the outgoing President Joe Biden. They've been trading barbs at each other as to who is responsible for this. The mayor of Los Angeles has been completely exposed. All of this is leading to, again, political barbs that Trump is throwing at Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, and Gavin Newsom is trying to take the moral high ground. But ultimately, the residents of California, the people who've been affected, have been badly hit by these wildfires. We'll have the ground reports, the latest ground reports, including CNN's Anderson Cooper, who was there when these fires raged through large parts of Los Angeles. We'll get you a ground report that Anderson Cooper filed right on the other side of this break.
Horrific stampede unfolded at Tirupati near the token issuance counter. Now, this has claimed the life of over 6 people yesterday. Over 40 pilgrims were injured and are being treated at the Tirupati Ruya Hospital, where protests have erupted by the grieving relatives. Now, Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu has ordered relief measures to be implemented at the site to ensure proper care. Now, Prime Minister Modi has also expressed grief over the incident and said that the government is assisting the victims. And also the former Chief Minister Jagan Mohan Reddy has reacted, saying order must be restored on ground. I'm now joined by CNN-News18's Payal Mehta. Payal, we are in fact getting to know that Chandrababu Naidu is all set to visit Tirupati today. What has been his reaction to the entire incident?
Well, to begin with, Sharon, he's expressed, immense grief and, has expressed his shock at what has transpired in Tirupati last week at the ticket counter, where we are given to understand essentially when the gates were opened, there was a rush of the devotees who wanted to go inside, and that actually resulted in a stampede. Having said that, since the relief measures are already on, the injured have been rushed to hospital and are undertaking treatment. Chandrababu Naidu himself will be visiting the location at about 12 o'clock today, and he'll be meeting officials from the TTC board and also visiting the hospital to meet the injured. And that is something which is going to happen, but he's also going to be ordering a probe because such an incident is not acceptable. The occasion of, this Chaturdashi is extremely significant, and people do understand that there is a lot of rush at the temple premises during this time. So crowd management should have been better done. And where did this go wrong? He's also going to be meeting the board officials. He'll be doing a review at the location as well. So obviously a most unfortunate thing panning out last night, with about 6 people being killed and several others being injured. And everybody is monitoring the situation. The health minister has also requested that doctors should assist those people who are injured and let them leave from hospital only after they are fully recovered.
All right. I'm also, in fact, joined by PV Ramanna, who is Associate Editor with News18 Telugu. Payal, I request you to please stay with us. Let me now go to PV Ramanna. PV Ramanna, when we talk about the entire incident and when we talk about the crowd management in Tirupati, it has always been appreciated. What really went wrong this time that this unfortunate incident happened?
In regard to this tragic incident which happened yesterday at Tirumala, the main reason for this is the mismanagement of the crowd, in fact. So actually for this Vaikunta Dwara Darshana, which will happen on 10th of this month, there is a Vaikunta Ekadashi, a lot of crowd was expected, in fact. Almost the temple authorities expected that there will be crowd around 1.2 lakh to 1.5 lakh people every day for 10 days, in fact. So accordingly, they wanted to make the arrangements and to issue the tokens from today morning. There were set up some counters in the different places of Tirumala and Tirupati. In the temple, in the ticket issuing counter where the Ramanayadu school was there, there was one ticket issuing point was there. Unfortunately, there were almost 4,000 to 5,000 people were gathered to get the tokens from that particular place. So unfortunately, what happened? One devotee who came for the darshan was sick at the time. The temple authority who is managing the health kind of a things, that doctor went to treat, open the gates to treat that patient, in fact. So suddenly the people who was waiting, who gathered there for the tokens, was felt that there is already issued the tickets. At that time, all the people together to take the tokens, in fact, to stay in the queue line. So in that incident, the entire this tragic incident was happened. At the spot, 5 people were died, and another person is very seriously injured and is taking treatment in the Ruya hospital in Tirupati. So all the rescue operations is in place. Already, Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu expressed his grief and anger also on the temple authorities while expecting a lot of people to that Vaikunta Ekadashi. That why don't you making proper arrangements? So today is expected to visit Tirumala also to supervise the rescue operations. Already a team of ministers headed by Home Minister is already started to Tirupati to take care of all the rescue operations over there. So as of now, situation is under control. Temple authorities trying to give some hope, to build up some confidence among the devotees who is reaching Tirupati.
We just drove to Altadena, and just happened upon this block, got out, and I imagine it is like that. And you hear these explosions. There was an explosion that I caught. I put it on Instagram about 20 minutes ago from a house right down there. Just heard an explosion, and that is, gas canisters, propane tanks go off. So you hear these steady booms off in the distance, or sometimes uncomfortably close. But look, see, that's the crew I was talking to before. They've now moved down. They're scoping out. Let's walk over. They're looking at these houses. I'm assuming, if they're going to stop here, maybe they would have decided these are defensible houses, and they're going to try to do what they can. There was a woman who lives in that house, that second house down there, about 5 minutes ago. We saw her on her lawn, and she looked very confused. And I mean, I'm no expert, but I said to her, I think you should leave. And she did. She had actually come back to just get some stuff. But when this house exploded, and it was quite loud, I think that freaked her out and made her realize maybe she should get out. Anyway, she got in her vehicle, she got her cat, she's gone. But it looks like this fire truck now, it looks like they're just going somewhere else. It's an extraordinary thing. 30 minutes from here in Hollywood or West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, there's coffee shops open, and you can see smoke in the air. You get in your car, you come here, these areas are blocked off, but it's so close to where regular life is continuing, and for the people on this block, their lives now are forever changed. Look, this fire is now spreading down this block. We've been watching this. Here's what happened on this block. This house was on flames. Let's walk over here. There's a down cable line, so we just want to be careful about that. Let's go around it. Okay, so now the house next door caught. This tree exploded into flames. You can see up in the palm trees now, those embers made those trees go on fire. I don't know if you can see through the smoke. Behind the palm trees, there are now these very tall vertical trees. I don't know much about shrubbery. I don't know what they're called, but they're huge, tall trees. They are now just like flames shooting up into the air. This second house now, I mean, that is just gone. That car, I believe that's the explosion we heard a short time ago that I recorded. But now look, it's spread down. This is new. Yeah, we've been watching. It then spreads from these trees. Look at all these embers. Just, I don't know if you can pan up, but look at all these embers just flying up. You see them in the smoke. All of that. The winds are have died down here, but those can just get picked up by winds for miles, and they can go for miles and light down, fall on somebody's roof, and a whole new fire will pop up. So this house is gone. This house is now underway. The left side of this house is ignited, and also now the house nearby it. But literally, I mean, these embers are like snowflakes. They're falling all around us. The sun, I mean, this is what's so crazy. If you can't even see the sun. It is completely blacked out.
Raging wildfires surrounding Los Angeles spread to the Hollywood Hills Wednesday, with helicopters racing to douse the flames with water drops. It raised the number of major wildfires in Los Angeles County to 6 by Wednesday evening. From space, the conflagration could be seen gripping the city in a glowing red pincer. The earlier fires have already caused several deaths and destroyed hundreds of homes, while strong winds have hampered firefighting efforts and intensified the flames, which have burned uncontrollably since they erupted on Tuesday. Over 100,000 people have been evacuated, while state officials said 4 of the blazes were at 0% containment as night fell Wednesday.
This firestorm is the big one.
LA Mayor Karen Bass had returned to the city after cutting short an official trip to Ghana.
We are still facing strong and erratic winds. In Palisades and in Sylmar, we are very much in an active firefight. I can report to you that the Woodley fire, however, in the Sepulveda Basin is under control. I can also report that finally air operations have resumed, and that is a big deal, but it is up to the winds as to how long the air support can continue.
The Palisades fire had already consumed over 15,000 acres in the upscale area west of LA, home to many celebrities and musicians. Officials said some fire hydrants had run dry there, hobbling firefighters. To the east, the Eaton fire in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains claimed about 10,000 acres. They struck at an especially vulnerable time for Southern California, which has not seen significant rainfall for months. Dry desert air from the east also fanned the flames while blowing over the hilltops and down through the canyons. Scientists say it's all come well outside the traditional wildfire season. They mark the latest in weather extremes, likely to escalate as global temperatures continue to climb.
Greenlam Laminates presents CNN-News18 Primetime Studio.
We're live from the CNN-News18 Primetime Studios. You're watching Hard Facts, brought to you by Greenlam Laminates. Viewers, UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath doesn't mince his words. In the face of massive criticism from opposition parties and so-called secular rights activists, Chief Minister Yogi has defended his government's decision to reopen locks of temples in Sambhal. Yogi has also spoken in support of reclaiming the local Jama Masjid allegedly constructed over an ancient Shiv temple. Among the reasons he cites is a quest for restoring Bharat's civilizational Hindu heritage.